Am I the asshole for blowing up at my mother after she told me I ruined her evening? I, 17F, have always had a rocky relationship with my mother.
Our family has always been on her side, so I just assumed I was in the wrong, but recently I am no longer sure.
For context, I am hard of hearing and wear hearing aids in my day-to-day life. I am not deaf and I'm able to hear decently without them, but I had to focus a lot more and end up missing a lot. My parents bought tickets for the entire family to see an outside play at a castle.
When we arrived at the location, I found out my hearing aids did not charge properly, so after we sat down I asked my father to give me the train tickets, in case I started to feel unwell during the show. My mother convinced me to wait for the break in the middle of the show, and if I wasn't feeling well, ask then. I agreed and, like I thought, during the show I could only understand about 3/4 of what was being said, plus I started to have a headache and feel overwhelmed with the amount of noise and people present.
I waited until the break started and asked my father to give me the tickets, telling my family I wasn't feeling well. On my way back to the train station, my mother called me thanking me for ruining her evening and telling me I would have to return from the con a day earlier. Me and my mother originally agreed that I would leave early in the morning on the 4th day so I wouldn't have to travel by train in the late evening of the 3th day. Now I was angry and tried to call her back, but she kept hanging up on me, and since by the time they got home I was already asleep and I left early next morning for the con, I didn't speak with my mother before I left. I also rescheduled the train back like she asked. Now this is the part where I might have been an asshole. While at the con, my mother called me in a sweet tone asking me why I didn't call her when I arrived. I was really angry, so I simply told her I didn't want to ruin your day. She was baffled and proceeded to tell me to call her next day and hang up on me. She then sent me a long text about how I lost the right to leave the con when I wanted to because I left midway through the show, something we never agreed to. How I didn't properly clean my room. She herself confirmed my room was clean a day before I left. And how I didn't properly show her what I was bringing with me. I showed her everything the day before she just left my room pissed off because she kept insisting I bring more shirts despite me telling her I was gonna be in cosplay the entire con, so I only needed something to wear on the way back and some pajamas. Now I was livid. By the end she basically just repeated the same point again, at which point I hung up on her. Looking back, I remember hearing her cry on the other end of the line, and while she hasn't acknowledged what happened since, I still feel guilty about it. Not the asshole. Honestly, the way your mother is responding at every point in this story is really concerning. You didn't ruin anything, and, as your mother, your well-being should have mattered more to you than you staying at the play. Her accusing you of ruining the evening would be concerning on its own, but the fact that she then tried to enforce consequences that made no sense and then made up reasons to justify it is just messed up. Yeah, losing it on your mom was not the move, but it honestly sounds like there were a lot of built-up, unaddressed issues that led to it. Not the asshole. You didn't ruin your mother's evening. She did. Not feeling well is a legitimate reason to leave early, especially since you were struggling to hear. Even if she felt bad about you leaving. My mother called me thanking me for ruining her evening. Is a manipulative asshole way to put it, and can only be intended to make you feel bad. Healthy people say, I felt sad that you left early. Or, can we do something together tomorrow, instead? I am sorry you didn't feel well. NTA. Your mom sounds toxic. You did nothing wrong here. Your mom sounds mean and childlike. Time to see yourself as an adult. Which means you stay calm when she gets emotional. It will drive her crazy and you will walk away feeling better about the interactions. Not the asshole. Your mom shouldn't have made you stay as long as she did, knowing that you were going to struggle to hear and feel unwell. Was this play something you even wanted to go to in the first place? An outdoor play can be hard for just about anyone to hear, depending on location, acoustics, microphones, outside noise. So it seems like a questionable choice on your parents' part to begin with. It's not surprising at all that it wasn't a good environment for you. Anyway, I hope you had fun at the con despite mom starting drama. Not the asshole. Your mother is manipulative and your family has become her flying monkeys. She's made you responsible for her emotional state. You are not. If you make a decision she doesn't agree with or doesn't like, you've ruined something for her. No, you really haven't.
You're allowed to make decisions, especially if it involves your health.
She had an image in her mind of exactly how the night should go.
That's her problem. Yeah, you're not the problem here.
Am I the asshole for not going to my sister's birthday dinner with the rest of our family? My older sister turned 20 a week ago and she celebrated with dinner Saturday night. I, 16 male, didn't go with my parents and my brother, 15 male. I have another sister, 23, who went and so did both sets of grandparents and our aunt and uncle. I'm the only family member who didn't show and my paternal grandparents are so pissed about it because she was upset. I need to give some background. I'm adopted.
My bio mother didn't want to be a parent and I was supposed to be raised by my first dad.
But when I was 3 he got sick and after a few months he was told it was terminal. He didn't have family, being a former foster kid. My bio mother didn't want to take me and her family weren't interested either. So my first dad wanted to find a home for me.
He wanted to be a part of picking the people who would raise me.
He wanted to be sure I'd be okay. So he worked with a social worker and after so many different families he found my parents.
They already had 3 kids, my 2 sisters and brother, and they were open to fostering or adopting. They really clicked and Dad knew they were people who would give me a good life. All 3 of my parents grew close before my first dad died. He made a box of letters, videos and other little things for me, like his watch, and that was supposed to keep me connected to him.
My parents always let me access that stuff and I kept some of the letters in my room. 18 months ago a few of the letters went missing and I thought I'd lost them. I freaked but my parents had copies. Then 6 months ago I found my sister, 20, destroying the copies. We fought and she admitted she did the same thing before too. She said she hated that I held onto them so much and clung to that part of my life. She said I was meant to be their son, brother, and instead I chased after a dead guy. I screamed that I wouldn't exist without that dead guy and if it wasn't for him, I never would have ended up with him. My parents weren't home but Dad came home to us screaming at each other. He stepped in and he kicked my sister out when he learned what she'd done. When my mom got home my parents admitted to me that they only ever gave me copies of the letters and stuff and the originals were all kept safe by them. They said a house full of kids never felt like the safest place to have them out in the open and copies felt safest. Knowing the original ones my first dad actually wrote and made were still there was the best feeling. My parents were furious with my sister. I'm still not speaking to her. They're still mad but she's their daughter and I told them they don't need to stop talking to her too but to please respect I can't be around her, which they do. My parents got a lot of crap for letting me stay home but my grandparents also told me how wrong I was. They said I'm not giving my sister a chance to make things right and I should be more understanding given the emotions involved in adoptive families. They said what I did was worse than what my sister did. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Your dad picked good. I'm glad your parents saved the day by having the foresight not to give originals of special documents to kids and also by acknowledging you have a right to be angry with your sister and shouldn't be forced into celebrating her grand accomplishment of, checks notes, living another year. Your sister needs to earn back your love and support, she's not entitled to it by default. But with grandparents that tell her the opposite, it's everyone else's job to compensate for her errors, I can see why she believes that to be the case. Not the asshole. Your grandmother is just wrong. Tell her you'll keep that in mind at her funeral when your sister destroys all her possessions to prevent others from chasing after a dead lady. That's effectively what she's condoning here. I'm glad that at least your parents are understanding. You are so much not the asshole. Your sister was destroying your property that she knew was important to you and thought was irreplaceable. How does anyone make up for something like that? Her being forgiven is a favor, not a right. It's fully your choice as to when and whether she's earned any forgiveness. Your grandparents apparently view your sister as a golden child, and have ignored the harm she did. Simply not celebrating her birthday is a really minor thing. Your grandparents had no valid grounds to berate you for this. Oh, no, the only AHs here are your sister and grandma. Your first dad was a good man and a good father, and you have wonderful parents now, not to mention very sensible ones. Not the asshole. If your sister wants a chance to make things right, she needs to first accept what she did was wrong, which sounds like she didn't. And she did something mean and hurtful and has not apologized. She can make things right,
on a day other than her B-day at a place other than a public venue. Am I the asshole for telling my sister-in-law that I love my nibblings because they are my brother's kids?
Hi. Last weekend we were having coffee with my sister-in-law and 3 of my niece's classmates' moms.
We are all kind of friends. While I don't have kids, normally is me the one that take my niece to dance classes and her performance, presentation and all the dance-related things, while my sister-in-law stay at home with my nephew because he is still a baby and is kind of disruptive in these situations. The dance teacher is really strict.
One of my niece's classmate, actually her BBF, goes to dance classes with her, and that's how I got close with that mom. Let's call her Laura.
And even if we are not like close friends, we hang out sometimes, and when the 4 moms reunite, they includes me or invites me.
While we were having coffee, one of the moms, let's call her Olivia, actually mentioned a story she read on Reddit about how a widow doesn't allow her kid's aunt, the dead husband's sister, to see the kids because she doesn't treat the kids of her new marriage the same way. And she asked me as an aunt my opinion. Well, the first thing I says was please to apologize me, because as I am not a mom I can't sympathize at all with the mom of the story, but that I feel really sorry for that aunt because the other kids are not her family. Then I say let's put an example, if my brother and sister-in-law get a divorce or my brother die. In that moment my sister-in-law put a face like OMG. Here I can also be Ta, and look directly at my sister-in-law and says, I know you tends to misunderstood words, so I am not saying I want or wish that to happens, I am just setting an example. The other mom, Nella, laugh and says something like, we know how she is, don't worries, this is just an example. Then I continue saying that in a case like that, if she remarries and have more kids, then they won't be my problem at all and is not my responsibility at all to take care of them or provide for them or love them. Because my nibblings are my nibblings because they are my brother kids, not hers. Then my sister-in-law asked me with a straight face, if it's the opposite? Well, if my brother have kids with another woman, they are my brother kids, they will be my nibblings. So of course I will treat them like that. And I asked her, like you mentioned, if it's the opposite, do you expect your 3 sisters to love or provide or whatever for the kids my brother has with another woman? If looks could KLLI would be in funeral right now. Since my sister-in-law sisters don't even care for my nibblings right now. And then all the other 3 moms agree with me. Olivia even says that her sister is married with a man with 2 kids, and since in 5 years she had only met them like twice a year, she doesn't even consider them nibblings. And we just stayed for like an extra hour. But the rest of the time you could see my sister-in-law was upset. So am I the asshole? Edit. Grammar. Not the asshole as another aunt, I agree with your feelings. If my sister and brother-in-law got divorced, and he had more kids, I probably wouldn't even see them that often, if at all. I certainly wouldn't put in the same energy I do for my sister's kids. Nibbling is a gender-neutral term for niece and nephew. I'm familiar with a nibbling that is a small bite. You would be an asshole if you're nibbling on your nibblings. I know you tends to misunderstood words. This was kinda a holy and unnecessary, but in general not the asshole. Of course you'd be attached to whatever kids your brother has. Doesn't make any sense to care for kids your sister-in-law has with someone else by default. You definitely could have that kind of a relationship with them, but I can't think of a situation where it would be expected. This was written like a dramatic AI writing experiment. Why are so many posts lately so poorly written, don't make sense, word things in ways normal people don't talk, etc.? Not the asshole, but you missed some nuances to this conversation and made it harder than it needed to be. Your sister-in-law has a relationship with you too. She may have been listening for you to express your support for her, as in, if anything happened to my brother, my sister-in-law would still be my family. I would still be there to help her. She will always be the mom to your nibblings, and it helps everyone, you, her, kids, brother, that you have a cordial relationship with her. That would still be true if she was widowed, and even if they divorce. Then I say let's put an example, if my brother and sister-in-law get a divorce or my brother die. I'm not sure if you're an but you definitely lack social skills. Why would you say something so awful about your brother and sister-in-law for some dumb Reddit argument? All you had to say was something like, I get why that aunt felt that way, because she wasn't related to the other kids. No need to drag your poor sister-in-law in at all. Am I the asshole for winning my girlfriend's friends a carnival prize? I went to the carnival with my girlfriend and her best friend this past weekend. We are all mid-20s.
My girlfriend's best friend is a very nice person and good friend to my girlfriend, and I have no issues with her tagging along to things. I am not trying to be mean when I say this, but feel it is relevant to the story. She is not a typical conventionally attractive person and has never been in a relationship. My girlfriend said she's never even gotten to the talking stage with a boy and no one has shown interest.
My girlfriend says this doesn't bother her though. I won my girlfriend a stuffed animal prize and could see that while her friend was smiling, I think she may have been upset.
Not that my girlfriend got a prize but that she's never had that, I guess?
So later on I played another game until I won another prize and gave it to her.
She seemed very happy and appreciative and my girlfriend seemed fine in the moment. After we dropped her friend off, she kind of laid into me that it was inappropriate and weird of me to do. That it made her uncomfortable. I was just trying to brighten up a nice person's day, but am I the asshole? Your GF's friend is a great friend to her but your girlfriend is a shitty friend back. She doesn't like her friend for real. She likes that the friend makes her feel good and probably boosts her confidence. Your girlfriend is a brat. Sad face.
Not the asshole.
After your first move was to appropriately give something to your girlfriend because she is the priority, it was nice of you to include the friend by giving her something you won later. Your girlfriend doesn't appear to be very empathetic, and I wonder if her having her friend tag along with you too on relationship stuff is because your girlfriend actually enjoys making her friend see that your girlfriend has the life the friend only wishes she had.
Not the asshole.
It's odd that your girlfriend is supposedly this girl's best friend, yet can't understand that your nice gesture was out of kindness. If anything, she should have tried to win her friend a prize to help not make her the third wheel. Good on you for stepping up, but you might want to rethink being with her if she responds like that to scenarios she's not the only focus in. You have a good heart, man, don't let your girlfriend trip you up about it.
Not the asshole. You were nice and sweet to her but like TF is wrong with your GF.
Try dating adults instead of petulant preteens.
Not the asshole.
Your girlfriend seems like an entitled brat to say the least.
She only likes nice things for herself, which is immature.